Greetings, everyone. Hope everyone is holding up and ready for another week of learning. So this is week 6 of directed readings and research. And last week we talked about ethics, and I hope you guys had some really great um, discussion board posts talking about Tuskegee experiment, um, mostly, but some other experiments as well. And Tuskegee experiment is, very, very relevant to the constituency of this course of this classroom. So us being Black, Americans or African Americans, that is very, very, very telling as to why most in our community are very skeptical when we hear things about uh, COVID-19, for example. So, the Tuskegee experiment was done under the guise of um, free healthcare, some free treatment, and those participants did not give consent. They were completely misled, and really, really bad things ensued. And so I think, from the discussion board that everyone had a clear understanding for the most part of, uh, the ethical concerns. Um, Also, the IRB, the Institutional Review Board, set in place to, make sure that research is ethical and that, research on human participants is governed um, and, consistent with keeping the participants' information de-identified, keeping the participants' health and welfare safe. So this week, we're going to get into identifying and recruiting and selecting participants for research. And so this is extremely important in social and behavioral research. So, three basic questions to ask um, are the research participants appropriate for the research question? Are the research participants representative of the population of interest? And how many research participants should be used? So let's talk about these, briefly. So, are the research participants appropriate for the research question? So, um, if we're looking for, strength gains in African American males ages 18 to 22, our research participants, you know, wouldn't attend Spelman, just to make it clear. So if I'm looking at African American males, then I'm obviously not looking at research participants at Spelman. So, um, so is that appropriate? If I'm looking for some additional information, then we want to make sure that our research participants are consistent with the population that we are looking at. Are the research participants representative of the population of interest? Um, Again, so if we're looking for, uh, African American males, then females would not be appropriate. If we're looking for African Americans, then of course, then we've taken gender out of the equation, um, and we can look at some additional things. If we're looking at individuals that you know uh, shot 83% or better from the foul line, in basketball, then we could stratify that information by adding age to that equation, adding, some different criteria. And so making sure that the population is appropriate is essential to making your research claim. So when we start to write the narrative, we want to be able to make a descriptive analysis of a particular population based on what we researched and based on their selection criteria. So we're looking to make a generalization based on that particular population, based on the information that we have researched. So population is the entire group of people having some similar elements, one or more common characteristics, as we've already talked about. So whether it be gender, whether it be ethnicity, whether it be race, whether it be socioeconomic background, some of those things, in social and behavioral research, will constitute a population. So a sample is a small subgroup of population of interest, thought to be representative of that population. So, we can't survey, 30 million people. However, we can take a sample of that population that have those same characteristics and be able to make a generalization based on that. And then sampling is the process of selecting a subgroup or sample of that population. So this week, we'll delve into that a little bit more. In the chapter, you'll have a chapter quiz, about 15 questions. At the end of that, it's open book at the end of the week or whenever you choose to take it. In addition to that, next week will be midterm week. So as we get ready to go into midterm week, do realize that we are on the downhill side of this course. So with that being said, the second half of the course is going to consist of you putting together a narrative. And that narrative is going to be based on a research question that you may have. So in the early weeks of the course, I believe in week 2, had you guys go to the library, meet the librarian. Well, not go to the library, but visit the library website, find out who your librarian was, and start to, begin to think about topics. So with that being said, hopefully you guys continue to have topics in mind and are able to find articles. So we'll talk more about article selection next week, in addition to having the midterm. So how to select articles. And we've talked about that a little bit, how to critique research articles and take a look at them and see if they're going to work, for your narrative. And so the next, the remainder of this course past the midterm is going to be centered around you writing a narrative, somewhat of a literature review. So keep that in mind. And if you have a topic already, I would suggest you go ahead and start to pull articles, from the library. Thank you all for all of your prayers and well wishes. I am still dealing with the flooding that happened at home, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great week.